According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 5 teens have abused prescription medications at least once in their life. I want you to think about 5 people right off the top of your head. Now imagine one of those 5 people were abusing prescription medications. Now think of 10 people. 2 of those people were abusing prescription medications. We can go on and on, but you get the point. It's a pretty sad thing, and it happens more often than not than we even know about. So there are many rehabilitation centers across the nation, but one specific one that is in our community is called the Bannock Youth Foundation. And something that makes it so special is that it has 4 organizations within itself. And these 4 organizations are meant to not only treat these patients, but before that even happens, they want to prevent it from actually happening. So today I will be discussing the problems that youth face today with drug and alcohol abuse, and the solution we have for that is this rehabilitation center called the Bannock Youth Foundation. So I'm going to start by discussing drug and alcohol abuse among teens. So teens struggle with many things, many things, but a few of the major things are drug and alcohol abuse. I think that it's important to realize that it happens more often than we even know. One example that I will give that's a personal example is I have a cousin that is probably 7 years older than me. And when we were younger, we always did family stuff together. So I grew up around him and with his family. So I knew my cousin and I loved my cousin. But something that I didn't even know about my cousin is that throughout his teenage years, he actually abused drugs and got into drugs and alcohol starting from a young age. And I didn't even know this growing up. And then, so to go on with his story, he actually went through the rehabilitation process and got clean. And then years later, he hurt his back and actually went to the doctor, and they gave him prescription medication and told him that he needed to take them. So he took the medication and ended up getting hooked on it because of his drug past. So as soon as the prescription medications just weren't doing it, he moved on to a bigger drug, heroin. And he used heroin for quite a while, and then actually ended up getting clean once again. And he was so lucky to end up getting clean again, because some people go through the rehabilitation process once and don't even get clean from that. So he was very lucky. Something that I want to point out that I kind of talked about is that when he was using drugs as a teen, I never knew. As his cousin, I never even knew that he was using drugs at all. And neither did any of my family, neither did any of my other cousins. The only people that really knew were his parents. And then going on in the story, the later part of it, when he was using heroin, he was actually married. They were living a happy life, and his wife didn't actually know that he was using heroin and abusing prescription drugs until about 6 months into the process. So he was doing all of this without his own wife even knowing. So that's just something that I want to point out, is that he was doing these things, and many teens are abusing drugs without people that are close to them even knowing. So it happens more often than not. So some of the reasons that teens start using drugs and drinking alcohol are because they are depressed, they have low self-esteem, they are feeling that they are socially rejected, or sometimes it's because their parents don't care enough, or they don't supervise them enough. Sometimes it's if their family's in poverty. And then the last one is if drugs are readily available to them, they often will just get right into it. And something important to realize with that is that out of that list of 6, 3 of those involve family and home life. whether it be the parents don't care enough, or the family is in poverty. Family plays a major part in teenagers' lives. So now that I have discussed the problem at hand, I'm going to talk about the solution, which is the Bannock Youth Foundation. So the Bannock Youth Foundation has 4 different organizations within itself, like I said before. These four organizations are Family Resource Centers, the Bannock House, the MK Place, and Square One. So each of these organizations play a very important role in preventing and treating its patients. So the first organization is the Family Resource Center. And straight from the website, it says, our mission is to strengthen families and promote well-being of children through parent education and support. So their main goal is to stop the problem before it even happens. And they have different classes that families can take together that help them build strong bonds within each other. So the second organization is the Bannock House, and this housing provides, it says it in its name, it provides housing to teens, and then along with that, if it comes to be a problem, it also will provide family counseling. The third organization is the MK Place, which this is the main one that I'll talk about in a little bit more detail, because this one has to do with teens abusing drugs and alcohol. So when teens are abusing the drugs and alcohol, they can come to the MK Place, and the main goal for them is to provide lasting changes for these teens in their life. They want them to get better, and they want them to get clean. So while they're here, the MK Place provides motivation to change in a happy, healthy environment, and it encourages family participation among that. So the fourth organization is Square One, and then the Square One is basically just there to help teens learn life skills and know that they can grow up and be on their own. Within that, youth can receive shelter there for up to 18 months if needed. So with all of these organizations, families are able to build strong bonds and try and prevent these things from happening before they even occur. And if these issues do arise, they have the organizations and the resources to try and help them, which is awesome. So now that I have talked about these things, we can move on and summarize the different things we've learned about drug abuse in teens and the Bannock Youth Foundation. So we have learned that family is the number one thing in teens' life, especially parent relationships. If parents are doing bad things and showing their kids that it's okay, their kids often will follow them and think that it's okay and automatically do it because they know better. But if their parents are doing good things and making good decisions, even if they rebel and make those decisions, they still know that it isn't right because their parents don't do it. And because of this, the Bannock Youth Foundation has these organizations in place to try and prevent these things, and they want to build a happy, healthy family relationship. So I want you to consider your family, your future family, I should say, and consider that you have one of your children that struggles and has always been one to rebel. Now imagine if that child started using drugs and started abusing these drugs. As a parent, you would want to help them, and if helping them was sending them to a place like the Bannock Youth Foundation, then so be it. But you would want those organizations to be available to them. So as my audience, I challenge you, I should say, to donate, whether it be your time or your money, whatever it is, just donate your time to organizations like this, because I promise it's worth it, and it'll help our community become better as a whole.